Hey guys, you're listening to TAY Radio on this beautiful Friday. I'm your producer, Gigi Gonzalez.
I'm your host, Brandon Gomez.
I'm your co-host, Emma Romero.
And I'm your co-host, Annalie Reyes.
Make sure to tune in every Friday at 4 p.m. for our live shows.
And as always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at TAY Radio Marin.
Warning: the following content contains explicit information some might find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to TAY Radio, everyone. I'm your co-host, Annalie Reyes.
I'm your co-host, Emma Romero.
And I'm your co-host, Sandy.
This week, we have a tough story to tell about Guillen's tragic death case. We also want to discuss what is Guillen's family's plans, and the movement that has been happening since the death of Guillen, and since she was missing. But before we talk about her death case, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of her background. Vanessa Guillen was a human being just like us, who had inspirations, aspirations, hobbies, and a family. And so I just wanted to let you guys know a few things about her. So she was born in Houston and was raised with 5 siblings. When she was little, she would play with her brother's toy pistol, and she already knew since little that she wanted to work in the military. And when she turned 18, she enlisted herself to the military, but her mom was uneasy about it. She didn't fully agree with this action or this plan that she wanted to continue with. And she also liked lifting heavy weights. She played cross country, soccer, and track. And her mom also said that she enjoyed going to church with her. There was a video from New York Times, I think they published it, showing that the attorney of Vanessa, Ms. Cowan, has said that Vanessa has told some of her friends that she was sexually harassed, but there's no official report about her sexual harassment. So the Fort Hood officials declared an investigation on July 6th. They also said they would do a sexual assault response and prevention program. And there's also video. On that same video, her sister, Vanessa's sister, also said that she wanted justice, and that it was no joke, and that it was no joke about what's happening, and that there's a lot of people who are being sexually assaulted in the military, and they want justice for her sister and for those people who been sexually assaulted. So also I just wanted to add this in, that the attorney said that Vanessa was being watched when she was taking a shower, and they believe that the suspect who is Robinson, they believe that it was Robinson who watched her when she was taking a shower. I'll leave it to Emily, because she will be talking about what happened after she went missing.
Yeah, I wanted to add that she didn't pull through with any sexual harassment paperwork. She didn't file anything yet, but her family, her mom, and her boyfriend did come out to say that Vanessa did open up that she was being sexually harassed at Fort Hood. On April 28th, which was 6 days following Vanessa's disappearance, authorities questioned Aaron Robinson because he was the last person to have seen her, and he was also the last person that was working at the second arms room where Vanessa had left. It was where she was at before she allegedly left for the motor pool, and also because he was the last person that Vanessa texted. So Aaron told authorities that on April 22nd, Vanessa came into the arms room, and that he was the one that he was working at, and she read him serial numbers for the equipment. And after this, he gave her some paperwork and a .50 caliber machine gun. This is when Vanessa was instructed to take those items over to the motor pool. And Aaron claims that after work on April 22nd, he left the base and went home and spent the night with his girlfriend, Cecily Aguilar. And obviously his alibi was Cecily, and she confirmed his story. So on May 18th, 2020, 2 witnesses told authorities that on the night of April 22nd, Aaron was seen pulling a large tough box out of the arms room and into his car, and he was seen struggling getting it into his car, and this is indicating that this box was obviously heavy. And I'll insert a picture of what a tough box is, but basically it's like a heavy duty container, and it can be pretty big, and the material is good material. It's not like a basic small like plastic storage box. And the tough box he was using specifically had wheels on it. So when he was able to get it into his car, he drove away. And obviously this is like suspicious, and the authorities decided to take a look at Robinson's cell phone, and he didn't deny, he agreed to it. And when they looked at through his cell phone, they found out that Aaron made multiple calls to his girlfriend Cecily, and authorities questioned Cecily why Aaron would be calling her if they both had confirmed that they were together that night. It just doesn't make sense. If you're together, why would you call each other? And her response is that night she had accidentally misplaced her cell phone and asked him to call it. But this doesn't make sense because there were multiple calls and they were pretty long throughout that night. So the statement did not add up. So the authorities approached her again, asking the same question, and Cecily changed her story. And she said that on April 22nd, both her and Aaron drove to a park in Belton, Texas, to take a look at the stars together. She said that they were there for a couple of hours and then drove home. So this is when authorities then tracked both Cecily and Aaron's GPS and found out that on the night of April 22nd, he spent about 2 hours at the Leon River. Well, they both spent 2 hours at the Leon River, and he was there at approximately 1:59 a.m. And the reason why people are so angry is because a lot of time had passed that nobody was doing anything to look into it. So, for example, this was like April 22nd that had happened. And then after finding some information out on June 21st, 2020, the authorities decided to search through the Leon River and the surrounding areas. They didn't find any human remains inside the river, but they did find pieces of a plastic tote, which is similar to the tough box that Aaron had put in his car on April 22nd. They also found the burn site at the Leon River, and they were able to figure this out because of the soil. So compared to like all the other areas, the soil was damp and soft. So also on June 20th, 2020, there were a group of contractors working on a fence at the Leon River. While they were working, they found human remains, and they called authorities, and they say that these remains seemed to be scattered through the area, and it also seemed to be placed in a concrete-like substance.
This is when authorities then questioned Cecile again, and this is when she changed her story. According to Cecile, on the night of April 22nd, Aaron picked her up from her job at a gas station. She said that Aaron then drove them both to the Leon River. They both got out of his car, and Aaron walked Cecile into the woods. Aaron walked her to a tough box and removed the lid, and Cecile says this is when she saw Vanessa's body. Cecile says that Aaron told her he hit Vanessa in the head with a hammer multiple times when they were both in the arms room. He told Cecile that then he put Vanessa into the tough box and drove it into the woods. Cecile claims that the original plan was to burn her body to get rid of her remains and evidence. Tried to, but she said it took a long time and it wasn't working. Then a smoke from the tough box and Vanessa's remains was raised about 15 feet into the air, and they were afraid it would attract attention. This is when they decided to go with their second plan, which was to dismember Vanessa's body using a hatched axe and a machine-type knife. After they dismembered her body, they dug up 3 different holes, and her remains were put into them. When they were done, they both left. Several days later, they both went back to the Leon River, and this time came wearing gloves and hairnets. They dug up Vanessa's remains to attempt to burn again. They burned her remains and put what was left back into the holes they dug up. They covered the holes with a concrete mixture. After this, they went home and burned the harness, gloves, and clothes that they wore to get rid of the evidence. Then when Cecile was confessing to the police what happened that night, Aaron had no idea. Since he was a suspect person of interest, authorities placed him into a room on Fort Hood and was instructed not to leave. They told him it was due to the COVID-19, but also letting him know it was because he was being looked into as a suspect. He was being watched, and even though he was instructed not to leave, Aaron escaped on June 30th, 2020. This is when the police had to look for him. Cecile was then told to call Aaron, and this was to get Aaron to agree to what Cecile was saying in regards to what happened with Vanessa. He ended up agreeing with everything that Cecile was telling him. Since Cecile let authorities know where Vanessa's remains were, media outlets found out as well, and Aaron sent her articles about Vanessa's remains being found. Aaron was then found walking on a sidewalk, but ended up shooting himself in the head, taking his own life. Since then, Cecile Aguilar has been arrested. She's facing 20 years in prison and a $250,000 maximum fine. That was really hard to say. It is actually it's really frustrating and really sad. I am shaking with just the description of, I don't understand how two human beings can do that to a human being. It's just so crazy because they took her body multiple times and did so many things to her, and she's a human being, and I'm just so in shock about all of this because it is crazy.
We will now be going into our song for this week called Good Vibes by Crepe.
TAY made this. Hey, let's do this shit. Hey, it's Crepe Summer. Michael Christmas. Let's do this. Good vibes, late night, summer days, it's alright. Really love a girl that wanna spend the night. Kick back, lay down, never turn around. Come with me to town, spend the whole day out. Good vibes, late night, summer days, it's alright. Really love a girl that wanna spend the night. Kick back, lay down, never turn around. Come with me to town, spend the whole day out.
Yeah, ayy, summertime jump, cooler with L in the trunk, chasing the wave, your shit sunk, never be faking no funk, ayy, yo my mom, we gon' be okay. Remember them juices that go play, the teeny juice, big breasted yo play. Now I'm drunk to AM, Buenos, no J's, none of my niggas is dummies on G's, walking at 12 with East Mickey D's. Summertime me just so easy to please, I want some L in the breeze, highway switch lanes in the Honda, backseat got just like a jumbo, hating you crossing your arms up, nigga does not know what condo.
Good vibes, late night, summer days, it's alright. Really love a girl that wanna spend the night. Kick back, lay down, never turn around. Come with me to town, spend the whole day out. Good vibes, late night, summer days, it's alright. Really love a girl that wanna spend the night. Kick back, lay down, never turn around. Come with me to town, spend the whole day out. TAY made this. Hey, let's do this shit. Hey, it's Crepe Summer. Michael Christmas. Let's do this. Good vibes, late night, summer days, it's alright. Really love a girl that wanna spend the night. Kick back, lay turn around. Come with me to town, spend the whole day out. Good vibes, late nights, summer days, it's alright. Really love a girl that wanna spend the night. Kick back, lay down, never turn around. Come with me to town, spend the whole day out.
Yeah, ayy, summertime junk. Cooler with L in the trunk. Chasing the wave, your shit sunk. Never be faking no funk. Ayy, yo, my mom, we gon' be okay. Remember them juices that go play. The teeny juice, big breast, they yo play. Now I'm drunk 2 a.m. Buenos, no J's. None of my niggas is dummies on G's. Walking at 12 with East Mickey D's. Summertime me just so easy to please. I want some L in the breeze. Highway switch lanes in the Honda. Backseat got juice like a jumbo. Hating you crossing your arms up. It does not know what condo.
Good vibes, late nights, summer days, it's alright. Really love a girl that wanna spend the night. Kick back, lay down, never turn around. Come with me to town, spend the whole day out. Good vibes, late nights, summer days, it's alright. Really love a girl that wanna.
Welcome back. That was Good Vibes by Crepe. You can stream all his music on all music platforms or find him on Instagram at 707crepe.
When I was researching this, my question was, why did he do it? Obviously, there's no reason why he should have done it, but what was his reasoning to want to take her life? But there is reason to believe that Aaron Robinson was one of the people that was harassing Vanessa. There was a superior above Vanessa that would watch her shower, and we now have reason to believe that it was Aaron Robinson. And the lawyer representing Vanessa's family says that Vanessa was actually going to file a harassment claim against Aaron Robinson, a day after she disappeared. And I also found out that Cecily was married while she was dating Aaron, and her husband was also a soldier on the Fort Hood base. And apparently her and Aaron got together in February of 2020. And I was also, before this, we were talking, and I was also letting them know that 2 days after Vanessa's death, Cecily was found posting pictures of herself on her social media with some questionable captions. Which blows my mind, because I don't understand how she was able to help her boyfriend out and also get rid of Vanessa's remains when it probably had nothing to even do with her. She could have completely avoided this. She could have helped Vanessa's family out, but instead she chose to help her boyfriend. But authorities approached Cecily with the theory that the motive was because Vanessa was going to come forward about her being sexually harassed. But supposedly Cecily said that the real reason was that Vanessa told Aaron that she was going to exploit both him and Cecily for having an affair, because Cecily was still married. And honestly, this whole thing, I feel because they took a long time to look into this case, and because she was scheduled last minute, I feel this was almost planned, all of it, because actually Aaron Robinson was not the person who scheduled Vanessa to work that day. It was somebody else, but whoever did reschedule her, I feel that person was also in on it, because I feel the crime scene would have, obviously he had to clean up that arms room when he was done. So I feel that's something he couldn't have done on his own. So that's why I feel maybe it was planned.
I believe that so too, because it's just crazy how there's other witnesses that saw it, and yet they didn't find it suspicious or not. And it's just uncomfortable to just think how these people they were, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just crazy how Robinson was willing to kill her just because of an affair or for a file of complaint.
Yeah, it doesn't add up, right? None of it makes sense. I highly doubt it would be just because of that, you know what I mean? That's why I feel they were all in on it, because there was also some questionable things that like went on in Fort Hood, and people came out to say, you know, like I've been sexually harassed at Fort Hood as well. And there was also multiple bodies found when they were like looking for Vanessa. So I feel like that's why I feel like they were all in on it. And to add what you were saying, Annalie, it also doesn't add up, because how did nobody hear her? Like, I'm sure there were people around, and it doesn't make sense how nobody heard a thing or saw a thing or anything. And they just try to make it seem like she just disappeared. Like, it just, none of it adds up.
To add into like the suspicious stuff, like what you were saying, I saw like an article where there was 8 other soldiers who had died this year at the Fort Hood, Texas, and I just want to briefly name the 8 soldiers. There was a recent death whose name is Mejor Morta. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but he was a 26-year-old and was found unresponsive on July 17th. And he was found at the base of a dam. And they did an autopsy, and they said that he died from drowning, which is weird, because like I feel like that would be weird if like someone went into the lake, and why would they go to the lake if they know they can't swim, you know? Like, that's kind of like suspicious. And this location is 16 miles away from the base of Fort Hood, Texas, and they're currently investigating more about his death. But I'm gonna give you guys the list of names mentioned that are recent young soldiers that were murdered or vanished. So there is Mejor Marta, who was 26 years old, Vanessa Guillen, who was 20 years old, Aaron David Robinson, who murdered himself, and he was 20 years old, Gregory Scott Morales, he was 24 years old, and he vanished, so no one knows about him. Brandon Scott Rosgren, he was 27 years old, Freddie Benego de la Cruz Jr., 23 years old, Christopher Wayne Sawyer, 29 years old, and lastly, Shelby Tyler Jones, he was 20 years old. So there was like a lot of young people who died, and it's just crazy how it all came to light when we saw that Vanessa Guillen was missing, but it took like 2.5 months to find her body, which was crazy.
It took a long time for them to even like look into her case, and it just like, it leaves people like questioning, like, why did it take you so long if this is someone that wanted to fight for the country you're living in? Like, why they're so focused on like the army and military and all of this? It's like, how did this not get your attention? Like, why is it something that you just let pass by? Why is it something that you ignored? So obviously it makes so much sense why her family is so frustrated and they want justice for Vanessa. But I also feel like, in general, I feel like everything happens for a reason, but this specifically, I feel like sadly this has to happen for people to even realize what was going on in Fort Hood specifically. So I don't know, but if you want to like follow up with what's going on with this case, you can just follow the hashtag Justice for Vanessa. And her sister also recently shared a GoFundMe. And I will link it in the description, but basically this GoFundMe is to help the family of Vanessa Guillen raise money for the historical march in Washington, D.C. to raise awareness and demand justice for Vanessa. And also there is this a petition you can sign on change.org. I will also link it, but it's titled Hold the U.S. Army Accountable, Justice for Vanessa Guillen. And they need 1 million signatures, so I highly encourage you to go sign it. But yeah, is there anything you want to add, Santi?
I think, yeah, you mentioned the petition, and I think it's very important to participate. A lot of you guys might want to donate, or if you want to help, and I think it's important that we help. You know, it takes less than 1 minute. You know, just go online and sign the petition, and it's important because if we unite together and we have all our voices being heard, we can hope for a change. And it's really, like I said, it's really hard. If you guys heard the description of what happened, it's disturbing. So I really hope this doesn't happen again, because it is the family. If you watch the family and follow them, you know, they're in pain, and I don't blame them. So if we can unite together and sign a petition and make Vanessa's story be heard, that would be really amazing.
I also wanted to mention that about the movement, how there's a lot of people who've been contributing with this movement, and I've noticed that I saw over the news that there was people who were telling their story of how they were serving for the military, and they were telling their sexual harassment story, how they were sexually harassed. And it's just crazy how there's a lot of people who experience this thing and haven't gotten justice. And like what Emily says, I feel like this had to be brought up, and this had to be had to shed light and be this big movement and get justice for Vanessa, because there's other people who've been suffering this like for the longest time, and they're not getting their justice. So just think that you're not only fighting for Vanessa, you're fighting for a huge crowd of people who've been serving for the military and are still not getting their justice, which I think it's really unfair.
And it's crazy because it's all in the same place. Like, how did so many people go missing and literally no one questioned it, no one paid attention to it, nobody like did anything? It just like blows my mind how they just like let this pass for so long, and still like they're not looking into, you know, the sexual harassment that was going on in Fort Hood. They're not really like looking into it. So obviously that's why the family is asking for justice. And it's been over, I want to say like it's been about like 100 days, or it's getting close to 100 days, and there's still no justice. And this is like talked about, like you see this all over social media. Like if my mom's watching the news, like it'll show up on there. Like this is being talked about everywhere, but no justice has been served, which is, I don't know, it's sad.
So we're nearing the end, and I know from my team, my coworkers, and everyone wants to give our condolences to the family of Vanessa and to all those people who experienced sexual harassment and hasn't gotten their justice. And hopefully this movement can bring that change, because I know 2020 is change, a lot of change. So hopefully we do find the justice that everyone needs. And thank you guys for watching, and we hope that you got informed more about the situation that is happening. And I encourage you guys to take action, and we'll leave the links below. All that we will be talking about today, but we encourage you guys to also get more information and be more informed about the situations that we are in right now. And thank you for your support, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
That's the end of our show for the week. Make sure to catch us next Friday at 4 p.m. on Instagram and Facebook at TAY Radio Marin. Hope you enjoy the show. See you guys.